Cafe anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Welcome to episode 2302. It's Mike Matthews, and the show's called
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I was having a discussion with someone who does this sort of thing, podcasting, radio, and whatnot, does the audio world stuff, and does a lot. And we were discussing how a lot of podcasts don't start with anything that's helpful to you in any way, so you turn it off and you don't listen to it. Okay. That's why I have to sing at the beginning of every podcast.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Gotta sing it and get it off my chest. Maybe it's the host getting stuff off their chest so they can do the
Mike's
program
Daily.
And if the audience
Podcast
can't put up with that, well, yeah, they're not gonna listen. Oh well. But welcome to episode 2302. Yes, I've done a lot of episodes. What's he saying? I'm saying episodes, but I have a bit of a reverse lisp. And the thing is that if you try and put on the little cord that comes out of your microphone, if you try and staple a little logo, let's say for your podcast, let's say your podcast is Mike's Daily Podcast, what you don't want to do is accidentally staple the mic cord. Because what will happen is that little bit of metal in the staple creates a mini receiver, a mini antenna, if you will. And suddenly you'll be picking up a radio station. I think I was picking up KNBR, which may be the reason why that station gets such good ratings, is because you can pick it up even if you accidentally staple your microphone cable. That's how it gets ratings. You need to work for a radio station that even if you're making toast, your toaster is broadcasting the station. That helps you get good ratings, I found. Versus working for people who have transmitters that nobody can hear, which I've done. There was one particular time in Alabama.
And here's today's podcast picture.
Should I have a podcast picture from Alabama? Why not? I'll post a podcast picture from Alabama. Let's do that. See it at MikesDailyPodcast.com. I lived there, when was that? 2007 to 2009. And the station I worked for said, hey, we're going to have a brand new transmitter for you when you start your job. And I said, okay, great, because I moved all the way out from California. And I get there, and the transmitter, the brand new transmitter, no one could hear it. It was really bad. This is before Basil the Boxer, long before we had met my good friend, my late great friend. Yes, and how he is expressing himself is how I expressed myself. I was quite angry when my radio station could not be heard by anyone. So that was bad. That was laborious. Oh, speaking of pets, did you see the last podcast picture of Patches with his big smile? Patches is doing good. I got one of those made for cats brushes that are really good at getting all their excess fur and stuff off, which I need because I am slightly allergic to cats, and so it helps get some of that stuff out of the way. And oh my gosh, by the time I was done combing Patches, it looked like a whole nother Patches. But you can see a podcast picture of Patches at MikesDailyPodcast.com as well. All right, so you're probably looking out at your yard, if you have a yard, if you live in California, and you're looking out and you're going, oh my gosh, soon Larry Elder is going to rule all this. Yikes. Hey, if we get a Republican governor, my taxes better go down, or I'm going to have a lot to say to the Republicans out there that are always talking about, oh, Democrats always want high taxes. Oh, California has the worst taxes. If we get a Republican governor, that better change. That's all I'm saying. Oh, and the fires have got to stop, because apparently Larry Elder and all the other Republican candidates are promising that they are going to stop all the fires from happening. So that better happen. I better have clear skies next year. around this time, because always around this time, and I know it because it's always around my friend Robert's birthday. We celebrated his birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Robert. And happy birthday out to Miles, someone I work with. It was his birthday yesterday. But we were celebrating. We were outside because of COVID. It's good to stay outside. And also it's summertime. You should breathe the fresh air. And we actually had some fresh air yesterday. Even though there are still fires that burn, and it wasn't so bad in Podcastro Valley. But we are here at Cafe Anyway inside, where we're all standing at least 8 feet apart. Or is it 28 feet apart? Maybe it's 88 feet apart. Apparently in the Orlando airport, you only have to stand 3 feet apart, which nobody does anymore in the Orlando airport. But here at Cafe Anyway, you must stand very far away from each other. And that's how all these people, it's a very large place. That's how we get all these people in here, and they're all standing very far apart. And we're somewhere in Podcastro Valley today. Yes, actually Podcastro Valley. And though I almost completely sabotaged my recording apparatus, my mic cable, and almost was broadcasting to you another radio station over my podcasts, because of a staple. Oh, I got the staple out and everything's fixed. So actually, I didn't have to replace the mic cable. What you're hearing is, it's working again. So that's good. Okay. At any rate, Cafe Anyway. The thing is that we are in a state that is about to have elections a week from this Tuesday, I think it is. If I have done my due diligence. I haven't filled out the ballot. Is it a week from today? It's not this week. I better get in on that soon. I think it is September 14th. Although September 13th. See, this is bad. If I don't know this, then the average person doesn't know this. So that is bad for people that are fans of Gavin, because they're not going to go out and vote. And then the people that hate Gavin, well, they're going to go out and vote because they're fed up. And they don't want any more forest fires or taxes. And he's going to get recalled. And Larry Elder, whom I've never met, but I've met people who've met him. And overall, I've had a lot of people say nice things about him, but he'll be our first Republican governor in quite a while. And I don't think we have ever had a black governor. So that'll be a first as well, if that happens. And if that happens, I believe there's a Senate seat in play, and that Larry would be able to replace that with a Republican senator. So we'll see. But that's not what I wanted. I wanted to say how here in California, where you look out about your backyard and you see things are turning brown, because you're not using all the water, right? Because it's a drought situation and you've reduced your water usage by 10%. Larry Elder's going to get rid of that too, by the way. He's going to say, hey, use as much water as you want. Just waste it. Throw it. No, I don't know if he's going to say that. But my taxes better go down. That's all I'm saying. The taxes better go down. And the tolls for all the bridges here in the Bay Area, they better go down. Enough. And no more fires. Okay. Cafe okay. So, the thing is that we've got our yards turning browner and browner in California. Though, probably if you are living in the South or in anywhere in the U.S. where you're getting lots of rain, of course, in the New England states, the East Coast, this is not an issue. But there are a couple of things you need for your backyard. And I'm going to tell them to you very quickly, because I've already talked a long time about all kinds of things, important facts. You need a classic bypass hand pruner, which I always called these a hedger. Is it the same thing? In this article, it's also calling it a cicada. Isn't a cicada one of those really loud bugs in Florida? Sounds like a lawnmower, but it's a bug, and it keeps me up all night when I go visit my mom in Daytona Beach, which hopefully I'll be able to do next month. It's the plan anyway. So if my work lets me do that, being a manager and then everybody's taking time off, and it's like, when do I get to take time off? Anyway, Cafe Anyway, a cicader or a hedger. It's a two curved bladed that helps you have clean cuts that won't tear the plant's tissue and makes them ideal for trimming shrubs. Yeah, this is what I use to trim the shrubs. The perennials or flowers, as well as the occasional soft branch. You can't really use it on, like, if you have a big piece of a tree that fell down, a big chunk. Then you're going to need a chainsaw, which I had to do a couple weekends ago on a Sunday like this. Hope you are enjoying your Labor Day weekend. By the way, listen to me tomorrow morning, Monday morning, tomorrow morning, Labor Day. Actually, all Labor Day, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., rather. 9 a to 4 p. I'll be on a radio station. You can listen to it through a link at my website, MikesDailyPodcast.com, playing a bunch of classic hits, 70s, 80s, 90s. So please tune in and tell your friends. Related to the hand pruner are snippers or snips. Snips shouldn't be used for cutting woody material, but they are ideal for harvesting or pruning fresh greenery, for precise work on smaller plants, or for getting into tight spaces. And those are good to have. Just to, it's good to have it just sitting there in the backyard, just ready for you. You're sitting there and you're going, oh, that looks a little bit overgrown. I'm just going to walk over there and snip a few. You don't have to put it off to a day that, oh, maybe I'll do it this weekend. Just do it right then. Get it out of the way. Do a couple snips, and you're done. So these are some things to just have around. There's the lopper or the long handler pruner. That's the one that's more like telescopic, right? That you can get up into high branches. I need one of those. A pruning saw, garden trowel or a hand trowel. Indispensable when you're on your knees digging small holes in garden beds. The trowel is also useful for removing weeds, rearranging plants in pots, or transplanting bedding plants. And all of this to make your outside a more peaceful place, because we need a little more peace in this world, in our crazy lives, to get rid of the stress. There will always be agitation in our lives, and it's good to remove the stress as much as possible. We don't always have to have stress in our lives. We've got all that other crazy stuff going on in our lives, but the stress we don't need. Trowel blades come in a variety of widths. Broader scoop blades, they are better with, they move a bunch of soil at once, and narrow blades are more effective for digging in rockeries or removing deep-rooted weeds. A trowel blade marked with a depth guide is helpful if you're planting many bulbs and perennials. Larger full-size shovels and spades are important for gardeners with full-size gardens. There's the handheld cultivator, a gardening claws. Oh yeah, that's the one in that recent Amy Adams movie that was on Netflix. The killer took one of those and put it right through her neck, and somehow she survived. That was gruesome. What was that movie? It's like you thought that all this stuff was happening, but it turned out it was her hallucinating it, and she had been in a bad car accident, and she was trying to forget it all, and yeah. I saw that on a Sunday, speaking of Sundays. I'm so happy about that. So, but yeah, they're the gardening claws, don't use them as a murder instrument. They are must-haves for small space gardening or those spots where you need to work carefully around plants. Featuring 3 or 4 sturdy prongs, cultivators effortlessly loosen soil around plants without damaging roots, and they make it easier to pull weeds, and it helps aerate the soil too. So those are just some good ideas. Your garden tools are an extension of you and need to fit comfortably in your hands. Choose soft grip, ergonomically correct handles that minimizes injuries from repetitive strain and allows you to work harder and longer with less effort. Oh yeah, and on a hot day like this, don't even bother. Just give it. It's going to be too hot. You're going to get a heat stroke. You don't want to do that. Pace yourself. And bring with you lots of iced tea when you go outside to do this stuff. And maintain your tools. The number one enemy of garden tools is moisture. Never put them away wet. Clean the blades of pruners, shears, and loppers by wiping them with a clean rag after each use. Brush dirt from trowels, shovels, cultivators, and rakes. Store all tools in a dry, protected spot, ideally in a shed or a garage. And larger tools can be hung on a wall, while smaller ones can be stored in a basket with your gardening gloves, so they're always together. Thank you, Costco Connection, for that little bit. And that actually came out earlier this year around springtime, but I think it pertains especially... I mean, my mom, I was talking to her today in Daytona Beach. She was doing some yard work. You're always doing yard work, or you should be always doing some kind of yard work so it doesn't get completely out of hand. I say this, but please know that I do have a unruly forest in my backyard right now, which is kind of nice so I don't see my crazy Russian neighbors, but that's all right. I think they're Russian. They kind of sound Russian. Maybe it's some other country that I'm not, but it's got that definite kind of that Russian accent feel to it. So, you know, they're out there doing their thing, talking stuff that I don't know what they're saying because I don't know the Russian. It's an interesting language. And that alphabet, wow. But look, we're outside a cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley. Maybe there's a couple Russians hanging out. Or other people from other countries. Or maybe they're just all Americans. The great melting pot. Look who's here.
Hello, Mega Master. It's Madame Rootabega. And yes, I was doing some gardening earlier today. Ooh.
Did you use some loppers?
Yes.
Did you use some hedgers?
Yes.
Did you murder anyone?
No.
Look who else is here.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Mike, we was really happy that you put us on the podcast today, dear.
Yeah, podcast. Do you know that?
And you are always welcome to be on the podcast. Do you want to be on the next one?
No means no.
Next show, it'll be the wonderful Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, and John Deere the engineer chime in about anything we covered today. 336mm daily. 3 + 3 = 6. MM as in Mike Matthews. Daily as in what this podcast has been for a couple of days. Sometimes we get interrupted. That's just how it goes. But if you do some gardening this weekend, do some yard work. Remember, it is Labor Day weekend, so you should watch it. Don't do too much of the labor. But always listen to Mike's Daily Podcast.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!